Okay, we have time for one more question, so let me ask Megan to come up and ask a follow-up question.
Lynn, I'd like to address this trans-Pacific orientation from the highest standpoint, which you addressed in what you started with, which is the galactic crisis, which we've elaborated on the LPAC website. Given this known threat, we have a looming threat of an extinction, the galactic weather, extreme weather which we've faced. And I do think, I'd like you to say more, that this trans-Pacific orientation bodes well, or is a much improved situation for mankind with respect to that, much improved with respect to what we face in the United States currently under Obama. You have in Russia and China, for example, a commitment to put man back in space, manned space exploration. You have the Spectre-R telescope, 1,000 times the resolution of the Hubble. The Chinese just launched an unmanned space station. You also have a serious commitment, for example, to serious work, scientific work on earthquake precursor research. So that's what the Trans-Pacific Alliance represents with respect to this crisis. I think people, though, need to get the counterpoint between that and the prospect for mankind in the galaxy under that system, contrary to what we have here in the United States with Obama still.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, the conditions, as we've studied, and our basement team has done over the past year or so, a good deal of study of this question. As we studied the history of life in the recent 500 million years, for example, within the range of this galaxy, not so much the galaxy as a whole, but implicitly the galaxy as a whole, and what we have been studying. We see, first of all, the progress, the evolution of living processes. And we have some intimation of processes which were pre-living. But what we know of living processes, there's a constant evolution of species, from the simplest form of proto-life to unicell life and so forth, all the way up. And we see the evolution of life in the planet as rising in terms of energy flux density. And we find this is natural. We didn't decide on this. The universe itself, the galaxy, decided to do this. And the existence of the galactic system and the existence of life on Earth and so forth all depend upon the continuation of this increase of energy flux density, which affects all kinds of things. It affects life, non-life, it affects human beings and so forth, living species. And that's what we depend upon. So we see that the universe is creative in that sense. And this, of course, is quite an interesting theological point, that the universe itself is a product of pure creativity. And we have to look at ourselves and look at this human species in completely different terms. We have to look at in terms of that creativity per se is the idea of creator. And the disposition of the creator is creativity. We don't know exactly what this means in total because it's way beyond our experience as a living human species. But we see the universe out there as a very complicated thing as far as we can get hold of it. And we realize the one characteristic of this universe is creativity per se. The idea of a principle of a creator, a constant process of creation. And we have the pleasure of having reached the point that we are willfully creative, as no other species known to us has been. And that we express the principle of the creator in the expression known as mankind. The ability to carry creation willfully into higher levels. We feel a great optimism because we know this thing called creativity, which we experience in human behavior, is the principle that drives the universe. And therefore we as human beings can feel the utmost confidence, the utmost pleasure and pride in the fact that we are creative, a creative species, a willfully creative species, which epitome of what the universe is as we otherwise know it. The universe is creativity per se. we express that principle of creativity as human beings. And we have a sense that humanity is struck upon a principle which is beyond our imagination. But no being beyond our imagination is nonetheless true. It cannot be doubted. And therefore we have an affinity toward our universe in that sense. I think that this sense of the affinity of mankind to mankind's universe is the ultimate morality. It's the highest thing we know so far.
Thank you very much. So that brings a conclusion to our webcast event. I think everybody shared the strong intimation of the future that we had to have ahead of us if we create it. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and stay tuned to LaRouche PAC TV.